Welcome to the sleepy universe tonight. You're going to drift not just into sleep, but into the tiniest corners of the universe. The places too small for sight, too quiet for sound, but still full of wonder. The quantum world is strange, yes, but strange like a lullaby whispered in a language your body already understands. Here particles blur into waves. Time forgets which direction to run, and the universe folds itself in half, again and again, just to be closer to you. There's nothing you need to understand, nothing to solve. Just let the rhythm of the science soothe you. Let the facts dissolve into feeling. Let yourself be gently tucked in by curiosity, because in the quantum world, even rest is real, and you are already part of the story. Tonight, you are not made of answers. You are made of softness, of particles slowing down, of questions that don't need to end in sentences. You lie still under the blanket of your own weight, letting go of clocks, of names, of shape. The day fades, the air feels wider, and now it begins, not with a bang, but with a quiet quantum fold. This is not a story about knowing, it is a story about wondering. And that is where quantum thought lives best, in the quiet, curious space between things, in the spaces between atoms, between ideas, between dreams, the place you are drifting toward. At the smallest level, the universe does not behave the way you expect. It does not move like gears in a watch. It does not tick like a clean machine. Instead, it flickers, it waits, it hides and reappears. The rules bend and blur, as if space itself is breathing in sleep. There is something called a wave functioner, mathematical whisper that predicts where a particle might be, not where it is, but where it could be. Because in this world, things do not exist in one place or one state until you look, until you ask. The act of observing folds the universe. It's called the collapse of the wave function. A particular little bit of light or matter or energy doesn't pick a position until someone checks. Before that, it lives in possibilities. It is a smear across time, a maybe, a suggestion, and when you look, the universe folds itself neatly like tucking in a corner of your blanket hand, says, here it is, not because it was always there, but because your looking made it choose. You're not breaking the world by watching. You're shaping it, not by force, but by attention. And your attention is a quiet one tonight. Gentle, open, soft. Imagine a single electron. You do not know where it is, not until you measure. Before that, it exists in a field of potential, everywhere and nowhere. It is not hiding, it is undecided. Like a dream you almost remember, but not quite. And now imagine that electron is inside you, which, in truth, it is. Millions of them, flickering through your body, forming thoughts, carrying currents through your neurons. Every twitch of a muscle, every flicker of a memory, begins with particles dancing through uncertainty. You are made of maybe. That isn't a flaw, that is freedom. Because if the smallest things in the universe wait for your awareness to take form, then there is something very beautiful in not knowing, in resting inside the unobserved moment, in letting yourself be folded gently by the act of noticing nothing at all when you are not being looked at, not even by yourself. You are most like a quantum field, still undefined, soft, infinite. This is not just poetry, it is what science has found. In the double-slit experiment, light behaves differently when watched. When no one observes, it acts like a wave, spreading out, interfering with itself, making patterns. When watched, it becomes a particle. It narrows, picks a line, walks straight. You, too, change when watched. Under the gaze of the day, you narrow. You straighten your back, lift your chin, speak in sentences. But now, in the dark, unwatched, you return to being wave. You spread out. You become many things at once. You take up the shape of a question, not an answer. The universe allows this, and more than that, it prefers it. Certainty is not the natural state of things. Uncertainty is. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle says you cannot know both the position and momentum of a particle exactly at the same time. The more precisely you know one, the less you know the other. It's not a matter of better instruments. It's a law of the universe, a softness in the script, a cosmic shrug that says, you don't get to pin me down entirely. Not now, not ever. And that's okay. Because tonight, you don't want to pin anything down. You don't want to be exact. You want to float, to fade, to dissolve gently into the field of your own breath. And that breath, too, is quantum. The oxygen you inhale was forged in stars. The particles in it dance and collide and flirt with probability. Your lungs do not demand precision. They open and close in rhythm with an ancient wave. A tide of air folding the universe inward with each inhale, unfolding with each exhale. You are not separate from the quantum world. You are not looking at it from the outside. You are part of the fold. Every decision you don't make yet, every path not taken, every version of yourself you leave unlit. They all live quietly, in a cloud of possibility, just like the particle before it is measured. You are not stuck in one reality. You are gently unfolding through many, and when you sleep, the fold deepens. Your brain stops measuring. It stops observing the self so tightly. It relaxes its grip. Dreams emerge. Possibilities ripple. Synapses fire in nonsensical patterns that still feel true. You are no longer just you. You are a field again. A particle folds when it is asked to. You are not asking now. You are allowing the universe to be uncertain. Allowing your mind to be more than one thing. Allowing your breath to slow without needing a reason. Even the universe, in its deepest equations, does not demand perfection. It allows mystery, allows folding, allows you to be both here and on the edge of sleep. Quantum thought does not insist. It whispers, and its whisper is saying, you do not need to figure it out tonight. You do not need to be precise. You only need to close your eyes and let the world blur softly around you. Because even when nothing is decided, everything still holds you. Fold now, like light into shadow, like a wave into quiet, like the universe into sleep. You are drifting now, deeper than before. The edges of your thoughts have softened, their outlines smudged like chalk on a pillowcase. The air feels still, and your body has stopped asking for movement. You are not searching for answers anymore. You are simply resting inside questions. Tonight, you find yourself in the company of a cat, not an ordinary one, but a cat curled up in a box of possibilities. This cat is not here to frighten or startle. It does not leap or hiss or claw at your sleep. It is still, quiet, resting behind closed eyes, just like you. And yet, in the world of quantum thought, it is both here and not, both asleep and awake, both breathing and not breathing. And this is not imagination, it is science. In 1935, Erwin Schrödinger proposed a strange thought experiment to illustrate the peculiarity of quantum mechanics. Imagine a cat sealed in a box, along with a device that has a 50% chance of releasing poison based on the behavior of a single quantum particle, perhaps the decay of an atom. Until the box is opened, the particle remains in a superposition, neither decayed nor undecayed, existing in a cloud of maybes. And since the cat's life is linked to that atom, the cat too is suspended between life and death. Until observed, it is both. But this chapter is not about morbidity. It is about stillness, about the strange safety of uncertainty. In the real world, no one puts cats in boxes like this. But in your world, your internal, half-sleeping world, there are thoughts you've boxed up long ago, questions you didn't open, futures you folded carefully and placed on a shelf. They, too, remain in superposition, neither chosen nor lost, neither real nor forgotten. You are the observer. But you are not opening every box tonight. You are simply aware that they exist. Thoughts you almost had, decisions you almost made, versions of you that stood at the threshold of becoming, they are still with you, not haunting, but humming faintly in the background, waiting to be witnessed. The beauty of superposition is not that it is confusing, but that it is generous. It allows many realities to coexist at least, for a while. And in sleep, your brain returns to that same soft state. Dreams are not constrained by certainty. They are layered and contradictory. They allow you to be in two places at once, to see someone who is both here and long gone, to walk through a house that is and is not your own. Superposition is a natural state for the sleeping mind. It allows you to be many things without conflict. In the logic of quantum thought, this is not a failure of clarity, it's the baseline condition of the universe. And so, as you lie still, barely tethered to the waking world, you enter that condition fully, not lost, but multiple, not confused, but free. The strange thing is, your body participates too. During REM sleep, your muscles are paralyzed, as if your body is suspended between doing and not doing. Your eyes twitch under their lids, but you remain still. Your breathing slows. Your awareness retreats. You become like the cat not in danger, but in waiting, both present and somewhere else entirely. In quantum theory, the act of measurement is everything. Until something is observed, it remains undefined. The cat is both alive and dead. The particle is both here and there. The universe is not committing. It is waiting to be asked. But tonight, you do not ask. You do not collapse the wave function. You let everything remain softly open. You do not demand that your thoughts resolve. You do not insist that every emotion settle into a label. You simply let the box stay closed, not in fear, but in peace. This gentle refusal to define is a form of rest. You do not need to be certain to feel safe. You do not need to name everything to fall asleep. The cat sleeps in two worlds and so do you, and what does that feel like? It feels like the moment just before waking, when the dream still clings to you, but your feet have not yet touched the ground. It feels like lying under stars you cannot name, knowing they shine regardless. It feels like breathing in the scent of someone you love, even if they are far away. It feels like being held by something you do not understand but trust anyway. In this state, the mind is not a machine. It is a garden, overgrown and quiet. Thoughts do not march in lines. They curl, wander, overlap. You may think of something long buried, and it returns not as a memory, but as a feeling, a blur of color, a sound, a weight. You may feel the past and future fold inward like two sides of the same blanket. Time, in this place, does not insist on order. Superposition allows you to exist in all of it at once. And when you dream of that cattiess, you will know that it is not a symbol of loss, or fear, or paradox. It is a reminder that reality is more spacious than we think, that life, too, can hold contradictions without breaking, that you can be unsure and still be whole, that you can rest without explaining. Even in physics, not everything has been settled. Scientists still debate how observation really works. What counts as measuring? Does consciousness play a role? Does the universe split into branches, where every possibility plays out? These are not bedtime answers, but that's the point. You are not here to answer. You are here to sleep. And as your body softens, your breath slows, and your mind flattens into quiet ripples, you can smile at the thought that some parts of reality are still undecided, that not everything needs to be known to be true. That uncertainty, rather than danger, is where rest begins. So leave the cat in the box, not trapped, but dreaming, not fixed, but floating. Let the quantum field remain gently unmeasured. Let your own thoughts scatter across two worlds, the one you've known, and the one you meet only in sleep. You are not one thing, and that is not a problem. That is your softness. That is your quantum nature. That is where rest lives. Tonight, you lie so still that even your thoughts seem to pause between words. Breathing comes gently, in and out, like the tide of a quiet sea. You are weightless now, not floating in space, but in something softer, something slower. A space not of stars or atoms, but of attention. It is here that we listen, not with ears, but with stillness. We listen to the quiet language of particles that never speak, yet always understand each other. This is the strange phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. And like so many things in this folded universe, it is both real and difficult to hold in the hand. When two particles become entangled, they form a relationship that is deeper than space, deeper than time. Measure one, and the other changes. Instantly, even if they are light years apart, they are no longer separate. They are parts of a single, invisible system. But this isn't the language of wires or messages or signals. It isn't like calling someone on a phone. It's more like a silent agreement written into the fabric of the universe. An understanding that requires no sound, no movement, just connection. And that connection is still here, even in the dark. Even in sleep. Imagine two particles born from the same event, like twins split from a single moment of light. They move apart. They drift in opposite directions, far beyond what any human could reach. And yet, when one is touched, the other responds, instantly, without delay, as if distance is just an illusion, as if they are still touching, no matter how far. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. He didn't like it. It didn't fit into the neat architecture of classical physics, but experiments have shown it to be true. Again and again, entangled particles behave as though the space between them doesn't matter. They remain linked, entangled, unseparated by the vastness around them. Now, as you lie still, feel that idea settle into your chest, not as science to be solved, but as a truth to rest inside. You, too, are entangled. Not with electrons or photons, perhaps, but with moments, with people, with pasts. Somewhere, someone has thought of you and you felt it. Somewhere, a memory stirred and your body responded. Somewhere, you woke from a dream that was not entirely your own. Entanglement is not just about particles. It is about belonging. It is about being part of something you can no longer see but still feel. Even now, even here, you are linked to others, not by touch, but by a deeper structure. a symmetry, a kind of silent harmony that hums underneath your awareness. Scientists have tried to explain this. Some call it non-locality, some turn to hidden variables, some speak of quantum fields rippling in ways we can't yet measure. But none of those explanations take away the awe of it, of two things knowing each other without speaking, of two points in space acting as one. Tonight, you don't need to know how it works. You only need to feel that it does. As you exhale, imagine another breath, somewhere answering it. As you drift into sleep, imagine someone else dreaming the same shape at the same time. No contact, no messages, just resonance. Perhaps your thoughts are entangled with places you've been and never returned to, or with people who once knew. Your voice and now only remember it faintly. The link remains, not in memory, but in something quieter, deeper. The shape your presence carved into the world is still there, and in the world of particles, these links persist without weakening. You can separate them by galaxies, and they still mirror each other. This is not communication as we know it. There are no messages being passed. Nothing travels. And yet, change one, and the other reflects that change, like two mirrors echoing. A movement you cannot see. Let that idea be your lullaby. You are not alone. You are part of a system that never fully unravels. Even as time passes, even as distance grows, even as silence deepens, quantum entanglement says, you are here, and that matters. It says, something still moves when you do, even if it does not. Move beside you in this folded universe. Space is not the divider we once thought. There are connections that do not care about distance. There are moments that remain whole even when their parts are far away, and your dreams, too, may be entangled. Tonight, as you fall deeper into rest, some part of your mind might unfold not from your own day, but from a thought shared long ago, a voice you no longer hear aloud, a memory that isn't exactly yours. Let it come, let it stay. You are not meant to untangle everything. You are meant to float inside the mystery, and so you do. Your limbs grow heavier, but your thoughts grow lighter. They drift apart like the entangled particles still joined, still mirroring one another, even in separation, even in sleep. You don't need to hold the whole picture. You don't need to speak to be understood. You don't need to explain the bond to trust that it is there. Entanglement is not a puzzle you must solve. It is a comfort you can rest inside. A reminder that connection exists beyond what can be measured. That your presence echoes in more places than you know. That someone, somewhere, may be moving with you even now across time, across space, across dreams. Let that be enough. Let the silence between particles be your silence, too. Let the message not sent be the one you still receive. And let the night hold all of it, this invisible togetherness, as you fall gently into a place where no sound is needed, because you are not alone, not even now, not even here, tonight. Your mind floats just beneath the surface of wakefulness, not quite dreaming, not quite thinking. The air around you feels thick with calm, as if even the molecules have agreed to rest. You do not need to know what comes next. You do not need to decide where your thoughts should go, because, in this chapter, the universe takes the lead on. It doesn't follow a script, it plays dice. This was the phrase that Albert Einstein famously resisted. God does not play dice with the universe, he declared, troubled by the idea that randomness, rather than order, might lie at the heart of existence. But quantum mechanics, ever strange and gently defiant, disagrees. At the smallest scales of reality, chance isn't a glitch in the system, it's a feature. The outcomes of certain events are not just unknown, they are unknowable. Predict the possibilities, yes. Calculate the odds, certainly. But as for which one will happen, that is left to the quiet toss of a cosmic die. And somehow, that's comforting. Because here, in the dark, you too are letting go of control. You are not choosing which thought comes next. You are not selecting dreams from a shelf. They arrive at random, and yet they arrive gently. You are part of this soft uncertainty where nothing is planned, but everything still unfolds in quantum physics. This randomness emerges when particles behave like waves of possibility till they're observed. Before you look, the outcome floats in a cloud of options. Afterward, it collapses into a single result. But which one? That's where the dice come in. This isn't chaos. It's a kind of built-in mystery, a sacred openness to outcomes that cannot be dictated, like a breeze shifting directions without warning, like music that changes key while you're still humming the melody, like a dream that starts one way and ends somewhere else entirely. Your thoughts do this too. Lying here now, you may have noticed how one memory leads to another with no clear logic, how a scent or a word or a whisper in the dark can open the door to an image you haven't seen in years. This is not disorder. It's your inner quantum landscape where ideas drift like particles, choosing their form only as they arrive. There is something soothing about not needing to know what comes next. You are not the conductor tonight. You are the passenger. And the track is still being built, moment by moment, beneath your moving mind, even in the most controlled experiments. Scientists cannot predict the exact outcome of a single quantum event. They can only say what might happen and how likely it is. A particle might go this way or that, might spin up or spin down, might appear or vanish, each with its own quiet chance. And that chance is not a mistake. It is woven into the structure of what is. And so, as your thoughts move without agenda, you are not drifting away from science. You are becoming part of it. You are letting your awareness soften to probability. You are letting your breath move through possibilities instead of plans. You are, in a way, playing dice with the night. Imagine now a particle poised at the edge of becoming. It has many futures. It flutters among them like leaves in wind. And only when it is asked, only when someone dares to measure, does it choose. Before that, it waits, patient, in a cradle of chance. You, too, live there sometimes, especially now. In this space between waking and sleep, you wait in a cradle of chance, not knowing which dream will come, which thought will fall away, which version of your sleeping self will emerge. But unlike the panic of unpredictability that daytime often brings, this randomness is a comfort, because it means you don't have to decide. You don't have to steer. The universe is unfolding on your behalf, quietly rolling its ancient dice, and every outcome, even the small ones, carries the full weight of possibility. Even the pattern of your heartbeat has a touch of randomness in it, a healthy variability that keeps you alive. Even your neural firing, your muscle twitches in sleep, your shifts beneath the blanket teach, guided by processes that hold uncertainty like a gift. The randomness of the universe is not recklessness. It is a dance, a slow, spiraling, endlessly repeated waltz of probabilities becoming reality. Somewhere in a lab, a photon is hitting a mirror and choosing a path. Somewhere in space, a radioactive atom is decaying not because of force, but because its moment has arrived by chance. Somewhere in your own mind, a dream begins to rise, not from control, but from softness. The dice roll on, and you rest. There is no need to resist the randomness. You are not here to pin down outcomes. You are here to float in their midst. 2. Let the unpredictable waves carry you not into chaos, but into calm, because the most beautiful thing about quantum uncertainty is that, on a grand scale, it still creates order. Out of all the tiny random movements, structure still forms. Stars still shine, bodies still grow, thoughts still take shape, and you, despite all the chance that flows through you, are whole. So tonight, let the randomness wash over you like rain, soft, patternless, inevitable. Let it blur your edges, slow your mind, and open a space for dreams to choose themselves. You are not lost in the disorder. You are part of the great, unpredictable rhythm. The dice are rolling, but you are not gambling. You are surrendering to the soft surprise of each breath, to the gentle randomness of dreams, to the science that lives not in answers, but in maybe. You lie suspended now, not in air, not in thought, but in something deeper. Quiet you can almost feel pressing gently on your skin. The room around you may seem still, silent, possibly empty, but in the language of quantum fields, empty doesn't mean nothing. It never has. It means potential. It means presence without noise. It means that even when nothing seems to be happening, something always is. This chapter begins in that stillness, in the vacuum. But a quantum vacuum is not like the emptiness. You imagine a hollow shell, a blank space, a void. In quantum physics, even the deepest vacuum is alive with energy. A restless hush, a subtle dance. Fields shimmer quietly beneath the fabric of everything, even when no particles appear to be present. There is no place, anywhere, that is truly empty. Close your eyes and imagine space itself, not stars, not planets, not light, but the space in between. The dark sea between galaxies, the gaps between atoms, the distance between thoughts. It may feel cold, wide, silent, but even here, in these thin places, quantum fields ripple. They are the background layer of reality, an invisible presence that gives rise to everything else. In this theory, particles are not separate objects floating in space. They are excitations, tiny vibrations of a deeper field. An electron is a ripple in the electron field. A photon, a ripple in the electromagnetic field. Each field stretches through all of space, even the parts that feel like nothing. The universe is a layered ocean, and you are afloat in its deepest currents. And as you lie still now, your own body resting in this room that feels so quiet, you are part of this field too. Every atom in your body is the crest of a ripple. Every beat of your heart emerges from the trembling of energy beneath matter. You are not resting in nothing. You are resting in something that never ceases. Even the vacuum seethes with activity. Virtual particles pop into and out of existence, too fast to detect, yet real enough to affect the world. These flickers give rise to forces, to fluctuations, to the rules that shape reality. This so-called emptiness is not passive, and is potent. It's called the quantum vacuum, a place where particles can borrow energy briefly, appear, then disappear, without ever leaving a trace. It is allowed because it is brief, because the universe forgives such short-lived magic, and in the language of physics, even this borrowing has a name, quantum fluctuations. As you drift closer to sleep, your own mind begins to fluctuate too. Thoughts appear and fade, not always staying long enough to name. Images flicker and dissolve. Ideas rise and fall before you can even catch them. This isn't chaos. It is the signature of a healthy mind at rest, alive, but not gripping. You don't need to hold onto these thoughts. Let them vanish like virtual particles, meaningful in their moment, but gone without regret. This is the rhythm of sleep, a gentle bubbling of awareness, rising and falling without consequence. You do not need your mind to be empty to fall asleep. You only need it to be soft. Quantum fields suggest that the very structure of existence is never perfectly still. And neither are you. Even in your deepest sleep, neurons fire. Cells divide. Micro-movements ripple beneath your skin. Blood flows. Your body hums with imperceptible energy. You are not trying to be still. You are returning to the kind of stillness. The universe understands a state not of nothingness, but of quiet motion. This field, this vacuum, this invisible sea, you lie within it now. You do not fall through space. You are held by it. And just as the field is never empty, neither are you. Even when the room is dark, even when the day is over, even when you feel like you've gone quiet inside, you are still vibrating with possibility. Some scientists call this the 0-point field, the lowest possible energy state of a quantum system. It cannot be zero, not completely, because if it were, nothing could exist. No particle would ever rise. No atom would ever form. No thought could flicker. The flaw of reality is not absence, is minimum presence, just enough to keep the world alive. And so when you feel like you have reached the bottom of your energy, remember, the universe never asks you to be empty. It only asks you to be present. Even if that presence is quiet, even if it's almost nothing. That's enough. As you breathe, feel the air around you not just as molecules, but as part of this field, as a texture of space, as something gently alive. The field does not judge your stillness. It mirrors it, accepts it, folds you into it, and in this field, you are never alone. The atoms in your pillow vibrate with it. The walls around you shimmer quietly in its presence. The space between you and the stars is thick with it, not cluttered, but full. A fullness, so smooth you forget it's there. Like a bass note beneath a symphony, like a heartbeat beneath sleep. This is not the kind of energy you can hold in your hands. It's not fire, it's not light, it's not movement. It is potential, quiet strength, the hum beneath silence, the yes beneath the pause. As your thoughts settle and your breath slows, remember that you are not collapsing into nothing. You are drifting into a place where nothing is ever truly empty. Not your room, not your body, not your mind. All of it trembles. Quietly, with the background music of the universe, the quantum field asks nothing of you tonight. It simply exists, as you do, as the air does, as time does when you stop watching it tick. So let the space around you swell slightly with presence. Let it hold you. Let it whisper, wordlessly, that this stillness is not hollow. It is alive, and so are you, even here, even now. Especially now, the room around you no longer feels like a room. It feels like space made soft. Shadows lean gently against the walls. Time has loosened its grip. Your breath moves without being asked. And in this calm, half-dreaming state, the universe turns inward toward the quiet question of what it means to observe, observation, attention, awareness. These are not passive acts not in the world of quantum physics. In this world, looking changes things, measuring defines them, witnessing collapses possibilities into single outcomes. The observer is not outside the system. The observer is part of it, and that includes you. You may have heard of the double experiment. It begins with particles electrons, perhaps sent one at a time toward a barrier with two thin openings. On the far side is a screen. When unobserved, the electrons form a pattern of interference, like waves that overlap and echo. Even though they're released one by one, it's as if each particle passes through both slits at once, as if it doesn't decide until after the fact. But when observed, when we check to see which slit the particle passes through, that wave collapses, the interference disappears, the particle chooses a path. It behaves like a tiny marble, not a wave. It becomes one thing, not many, because we asked it to. This isn't magic, it's physics, strange, tested, real. So what does that mean for you, lying here in the dark? It means your attention has power, not in some grand mystical way, but in the quiet way of all things. When you observe a thought, you shape it. When you focus on a feeling, it becomes more real. When you pay attention to a fear, it sharpens. When you look away, it fades. But you are not here to shape things tonight. You are here to let go, to stop observing and start dissolving, to allow the wave function of your day to uncollapse, to spread wide again into maybes and soft boundaries. You are not the observer now. You are the space between observations, the moment between notes, the hush that follows knowing. Sleep, after all, is a kind of surrender. You stop holding yourself in place. You stop tracking time. You stop measuring your own experience. You slip beneath awareness and let the world continue without your gaze in. This way, sleep resembles the quantum world when it's left alone. When you stop watching, the universe returns to its natural uncertainty. When you stop naming every part of yourself, your mind becomes a wave again, gentle, broad, unfinished, and yet there is peace in that. You do not need to resolve every possibility. You do not need to name every dream. You can rest in the blur, in the becoming, in the version of reality that doesn't need to collapse just yet. Some physicists believe the observer is what creates reality, that until something is witnessed, it remains suspended, undefined, a shimmering field of options. But does this mean that nothing exists until seen? Not quite. It means that things exist as potentials until they are asked to be more. You don't have to ask anything tonight. You can let your thoughts drift unmeasured. Let your memories shift uninspected. Let the sensations in your limbs grow vague and wide. You are no longer the instrument of collapse. You are the field itself. Soft, not yet chosen. Still becoming. Even in neuroscience, we find reflections of this. Your brain doesn't take in the world. Directly it predicts, infers, estimates. It builds models. What you experience is not reality itself, but your best version of it. You observe your own thoughts and shape them in real time. But in dreams, you let that grip go. You stop editing. You stop collapsing ideas into structure. You just float. That is where you are now, between the slits, before the measurement, still unfolding, still undefined. And this is not a loss. It's a kind of freedom, to be many things at once, to hold contradictions, to imagine without deciding. The observer in you sleeps, and the world you carry becomes wide again. In the laboratory of your mind, no instruments are pointed inward, no clocks are ticking, no recordings are being made. Everything can return to rest. And in that rest, new possibilities begin to hum quietly, gently, just beneath the surface. Think of your body tonight. It is not performing, not presenting. It is simply being. The pressure of the sheets, the warmth of your skin, the hush of breath in your lungs. These are not being monitored. They are not being measured. They are just allowed. And by allowing them, you return to something more fundamental than identity, more honest than thought. You return to being a part of the system, not the one observing, but the one observed, and then, not even that, just the system, just the hum. The illusion of collapse is that we think we must always define ourselves, that we must always be one thing, awake or asleep, happy or sad, certain or uncertain. But your quantum self knows better. It knows that life is made not only of outcomes, but of the space before the outcomes, the pause, the hesitation, the stretch. Let yourself stretch now. Let your awareness blur just a little more. Let the edges of your identity soften like the wave function unmeasured. Let the thoughts arrive and then depart without inspection. Let the observer sleep. The universe can go on without your gaze for now, and when you return in the morning, it will welcome you with new shapes, new outcomes, new patterns collapsed from the field. But tonight, you are not collapsing anything. You are resting in the field, quiet, spacious, still. There's something quiet about the way the universe spins, not in the way a wheel turns or a dancer twirls. Not always with motion you can see, but deep beneath the surface of matter, at the level where particles hum like thoughts you've never said out loud, something is always turning. And what turns? That tells us more than we ever imagined. Tonight you rest inside that turning. Your body lies still, but not frozen. Like a planet that doesn't feel its own orbit, you are part of a slow, silent rotation. The room around you doesn't change, but everything is in motion. Atoms within your skin, blood within your heart, particles within your breath. And every one of those particles carries something strange, a quality known as spin. But spin in quantum mechanics doesn't mean spinning, not in the way a top might twirl across the floor. It's not a rotation in space, it's deeper, stranger, a kind of internal identity, a fingerprint of motion built into the very fabric of the particle itself. Spin is a quantum number, a label, a symmetry, and it determines how particles behave, how they interact, how they pair. You might picture two particles, seemingly identical, spinning in opposite directions, one clockwise, one counterclockwise. They are not opposites in anger. They are mirror twins, each completing the other. Their spins balance the equation. Their opposing directions allow them to share space, to exist together without violating the laws of nature. This, you see, is how the world is built. Even the simplest particles, electrons, protons, neutrinos carry spin. It defines how they group into atoms, how they line up in magnetic fields, how they whisper across space. The structure of matter is choreographed by spin, as if the universe is dancing, silently, to a rhythm we only sense in dreams and in sleep. You feel that rhythm. You may not hear it with your ears or see it with your eyes, but something in you resonates with that invisible turning, perhaps in the way your thoughts loop gently before they fade, perhaps in the way your breath curls into a cycle without you guiding it. Perhaps in the way the night itself seems to turn slowly past your window, one star at a time. Quantum spin creates something even more wondrous, a law known as the Pauli exclusion principle. It says that no two fermions particles, like electrons can, share the same quantum state. They cannot be completely identical in every way. Even in the most crowded atom, each electron must be unique, defined by its spin, its orbit, its moment. There's something deeply comforting in that you are unique, too. Even if you feel, at times, like just one among many. Even if you lie in bed tonight thinking your story is one of 1,000. At the most fundamental level, the universe does not permit sameness. It requires distinction. You are your own spin, your own angle, your own presence in space, and this uniqueness is not a burden. It is the balance that allows everything else to be. Imagine now two particles entangled by their spin. One flips, and the other flips to match, like synchronized dancers across a stage. Their movements are tied, even when separated by This entanglement is real, observed, measured, and though spin cannot be seen directly, its effects ripple through magnetic fields, through chemical bonds, through the forces that shape stars. So many things in the universe happen, not because of mass or distance, but because of spin. Your body itself, its warmth, its chemistry, its motion is governed by these tiny, invisible turns. Every electron in every atom in your body has a spin, and they are all aligned in ways that keep you whole. The room feels still, but spin is everywhere. Even the light that touches your eyelids, faint though it may be, carries angular momentum. Even the particles that drift through your body without a trace, like neutrinos from distant stars, carry spin. Everything turns, and everything balances that turning with something else. A mirror twin, a soft opposite, a quiet yes to every no. As you begin to drift deeper now, your thoughts may feel like they are spinning, too, not in confusion, but in rhythm. One thought leads to another, loops back, curls inward, and then lets go. You are not unraveling. You are turning gently toward sleep, following the same spiraled logic that particles obey, and just as spin defines a particle's behavior, your own inner spin, your temperament, your rhythms, your way of moving through the world shapes your path. You are not static, you are not linear, you are turning all the time. Thoughts orbit, feelings, memories spiral through meaning. Sleep circles back toward dreams. Let that motion soothe you. Let the idea of internal turning gentle, invisible, ever present, place the need to hold. Still, you don't have to be motionless to rest. You don't have to stop to sleep. You only need to find your axis and turn softly around it. Some particles require full rotations to return to their starting state. Others require 2 full turns, 720 degrees before they truly come home. Spin is not always intuitive. It doesn't behave like spinning tops or turning wheels. It behaves like the deep logic of a universe that folds in ways we do not fully understand. But we don't need to understand to trust it. The balance holds, the twin flips, the turn completes, and you, too, will come back to yourself by morning. You will wake slowly, perhaps without knowing the moment you fell. But this sleep is shaped by spin. You are curled like a particle inside its own field. Quiet, stable, defined not by stillness, but by symmetry. And if your dreams tonight contain mirrors, or dances, or pairs that seem to know each other's steps before they're taken, let them. If your thoughts spiral softly without resolution, let them. If your sense of self wobbles gently and then returns. Let it. You are not breaking. You are turning. You are not lost. You are mirrored. You are not collapsing. You are balancing. You are resting in the quantum spin of your own quiet being. Sleep is not a fall. It's a slow bending, a subtle curve in the path of your awareness. You don't plunge into it, not really. You glide, drawn inward by something softer than force, yet deeper than will. And as your body lies quiet, your thoughts trace a gentle arc, folding toward a place where weight feels like comfort. Tonight, that curve is gravity's lullaby. Gravity is often described as a pull, a downward tug, a steady anchor. But in the language of modern physics, it is something far more elegant. It is the shape of space itself, a bending, a warping, an invisible slope that guides everything with mass. You don't fall because you're being dragged. You fall because space is curved, and you are simply following its path. Imagine space-time as a vast, invisible sheet. Place something heavy. On it a star, a planet, your own body, and the sheet bends. Objects nearby begin to move, not because they're pushed, but because they're tracing the natural lines of this curve. This is what Einstein saw, not gravity as a force, but as a shape. And now your sleep moves in that same shape, not in lines, not in leaps, but in quiet, spiraled, descent curved, not by thought, but by being. The weight of your own presence bends the space around you, not outwardly, not visibly, but gently in the folds between waking and dreaming. As you sink into your bed, you're not just resting on the surface of the earth, you are riding its curve through space. You and your pillow and your breath are all moving together in orbit, not just around the sun, but around something deeper, around the geometry of existence. And yet it feels still. This is the paradox of gravity: motion without effort, descent without fear. The apple doesn't fall to the ground because the earth grabs it falls because the earth has bent space, and the apple follows that bend. You, too, are following a bend tonight, not down, but inward, toward softness, toward sleep. Even your dreams may feel curved. They don't follow straight lines. They loop, they twist, they double back. One image flows into another without warning. One moment contains pieces of others. You move through them like light bends near a massive star, not broken, just redirected. This bending of space happens everywhere, around planets, stars, galaxies, around you. Your own mass is enough to leave an imprint. Not a dramatic one, perhaps, but real enough that the path of photons, the ticking of time, the rhythm of clocks, is shifted by your presence. Time itself bends with gravity, and this is why, in the deep valleys of space near black holes or dense stars, time slows down. Not metaphorically, literally, clocks tick more slowly. Heartbeats stretch. A second near a massive object contains more silence than the same second far away. And so, as your body becomes heavier with sleep, remember, you are not just tired. You are entering a slower part of time. Your internal gravity is shaping the night around you. The deeper you go, the longer each moment feels, not to your thoughts, but to the physics within you. Sleep is not just rest. It is temporal dilation, a deepening of now. This is why dreams sometimes feel endless, because gravity and sleep extend time in quiet ways. You are not floating in nothing. You are lying in a well, a gentle well made of space-time. Its walls are not stone, but curve, and at the bottom of that well is rest. You are not trapped. You are held, supported not by surface, but by structure. And in this well, the deeper you go, the quieter the world becomes. Sound doesn't echo, light doesn't reach far. Even your thoughts become hushed, as if the pressure of being has settled into stillness. Somewhere, far above you, the day continues. The clocks on the wall tick, as they always do. But here, in this folded place, time does not rush. It drips, it drifts, it pools. You are safe here. You are not falling out of the world. You are falling into it. Curved space cradles you, gently rerouting all your momentum into stillness. And this stillness is not emptiness. It is presence, gathered just as stars bend the path of light. Your sleep bends the path of thought. Worries try to move in straight lines, but they cannot. They loop back. They get caught in the curve. They spiral out. And by the time they reach your resting mind, they are no longer worries. They are echoes, faint, dissolved. You do not need to straighten this path. You do not need to climb. You only need to continue drifting inward, letting gravity do what it has always done, shape your path without pushing. And perhaps, just perhaps, there's comfort in knowing that the same law that keeps planets in orbit is the one that keeps you here, breathing, sinking, dreaming. The same gravity that sculpts galaxies sculpts your sleep. You are part of this vast geometry. The bend of space is not above you or around you, it includes you, and you include it. Every muscle in your body, every neuron in your brain, every whisper of thought bends the sheet, leaves an imprint, leaves a shape. So tonight, let your presence be enough. Let your body settle into its curve. Let your mind stretch with the space it inhabits. You are not meant to be linear. You are not a machine on tracks. You are stardust shaped by invisible slopes. And sleep is the most honest path you walk, all natural curve, all soft descent. The night deepens, and with it, a silence grows, not the absence of sound, but a thicker kind of quiet, a hush that hums beneath your pillow, beneath your bones, beneath your breath. You feel yourself drifting again, not through nothing, but through a space that only seems empty. Because in truth, nothing in this universe is ever truly void. Not the vacuum, not your mind, not even the quietest part of you in the old way of thinking. A vacuum was a perfect emptiness, a place stripped of matter, of pressure, of substance, an untouched silence. But quantum physics tells a different story, a deeper one. Even when every particle is gone, even when the field seems flat, energy remains. Possibility remains. The vacuum is alive, not with noise, not with motion you can see, but with flickers, with tremors, with momentary blinks of matter and antimatter that appear and vanish before time has time to count them. These are virtual particles born from the uncertainty of quantum fields. They are not fiction. They are measurable in their effects. They are the restless whispers of a universe that refuses to be still. And they live in you, too, tonight. As your body settles into the mattress and your mind softens its grip on the day, you might feel empty, as if you've poured out your energy, as if you've reached the end of something. But you are not empty, not even close. Just as the vacuum contains the echo of everything that could be, so do you. You are resting now, but inside your rest are the seeds of thought, of movement, of becoming, potential hums in every cell. Your silence is not a pause, it's a well of readiness, not for action, not yet, but for simply being more than what is visible, just like the vacuum in quantum field theory. Even a perfect vacuum seethes with 0-point energy, the lowest possible energy that still pulses beneath absolute stillness. Even when nothing happens, something exists. This is not metaphor, it is physics, proven and comforting, because it means you never vanish, even in your most still moments like now. As your limbs soften and your thoughts drift sideways, there is something alive, deep inside, something you don't need to name, something you don't need to use. Just knowing it is there is enough. Some of the greatest forces in the cosmos rise from this vacuum. The Casimir effect, for instance, where two metal plates placed extremely close in a vacuum are pushed together not by particles, but by the pressure of invisible quantum fluctuations. This is not magic. It is the push of something that comes from apparent nothingness. You too are shaped by invisible pressures. Somewhere within, you carry memories you can't quite name, desires that don't speak in words, the weight of kindnesses you've forgotten you gave, the echo of love felt long ago. These are not loud. They are background hums, like vacuum energy. They ripple through you even in rest. Let them ripple now. You don't need to make sense of them. You don't need to explain your fullness. You only need to trust that emptiness is never total. Sometimes it is simply a quieter kind of fullness. Think now of the space between atoms, the vast gaps that make up most of what we call matter. Your body is mostly space. Your hand, your lungs, your heart, none of them are dense blocks of mass. They are scaffolds. They are clouds. They are organized fields held together by relationships. And in those spaces between the nucleus and the orbiting electrons is the vacuum. But it is not void. It is presence waiting to be noticed. Just like the quiet that fills your room. Just like the calm between your thoughts. Just like this moment, there is more here than you think. There always has been. Even your dreams, when they come, don't fill you from the outside. They rise from inside your own silent layers, from the flickers and shimmers beneath the surface, from the vacuum that isn't empty tonight. Let that be your comfort. You don't have to be productive. You don't have to be interesting. You don't even have to be awake. You only need to allow the stillness to hold you on, to know that even in stillness there is life. When the universe began, it did not explode from nothing. It expanded from a dense, high-energy state, filled with heat, light, and fields trembling with potential. Even in its infancy, it was never empty. It was always singing just too softly, at first, for anything to hear. You, too, carry that early echo. Not in your thoughts, not in your story, but in your substance. The same particles, the same fields, the same gentle refusal to be nothing. As you lie here now, let yourself dissolve into that truth. You are not resting in a blank space. You are floating in a sea of presence too fine to see. Your quiet is textured. Your stillness is structured. The vacuum within you is awake, and that's all it needs to be. So let go of the need to fill the space. Let go of the urge to name the quiet. Let yourself be exactly as you are, full of invisible life, softly vibrating with unrealized moments, gently, held by fields that stretch across time. You are lying still, but you could have moved. You are here, but you might have turned left instead of right. Every decision behind you still echoes faintly, like footprints that haven't fully faded. In this calm between thoughts, the idea of a single path starts to soften. You begin to imagine, what if every possibility didn't vanish the moment you chose? What if reality deep down, works in a way that allows every path to be explored, even if only for a moment. Tonight, you drift alongside the most curious traveler in physics, the quantum particle. And this traveler is not bound by a single road. It takes all roads, every path, every fork, every option. It moves not like a train on tracks, but like a cloud across a sky, diffusing through possibility before settling into form. This idea comes from the strange logic of quantum mechanics, and one of its most quietly astonishing truths, that particles do not take one path from point A to point B, they take all possible paths. Every curve, every loop, every detour, each one is explored, as if the universe is sifting gently through its options before choosing a single outcome to show you. You don't see this. Of course, you see the result. The particle hits the screen. Here, the photon bounces there. The outcome appears crisp, but that clarity hides the dance beneath. In Richard Feynman's formulation of quantum theory, the path integral approach, what matters is not a straight line, but the sum of every possible line. And so, as you relax into this evening's quiet, you are joining a system that moves through maybes. Your breath follows a rhythm it could have chosen differently. Your thoughts drift through ideas that might have risen in another order. Even the sequence of your dreams still form, could still turn in countless directions. You are not fixed. You are unfolding. Sleep is not a narrow tunnel. It is a meadow, wide with branching trails. Let your mind walk them all. In the quantum world, this overlapping of paths is not chaos. It's coherence. The particle is not confused. It is whole. It is behaving as it must, sensitive to every possible route, and yet respectful of the constraints that shape the final step. It's as if, in its deepest nature, the universe honors curiosity. There is something profoundly comforting in this. It means that when you feel unsure, when you hesitate, when you imagine alternatives, this is not failure. This is resonance. This is how reality itself explores the options. You are not meant to walk only one line. You are meant to feel the other paths beneath your feet, even if you never take them. In your body, particles do this all the time. An electron doesn't simply slide along a wire. It travels as a wave of probabilities, spreading across every possible location. And only when observed does it appear in a single place. But even then, the other paths mattered. They shaped the outcome. Invisibly. They were part of the story, and so were yours. All the things you didn't do today, the words you almost said, the decisions you nearly made, the pauses that led nowhere, they still leave a shape in you. Not as regrets, but as gentle outlines. They are part of your inner topography, the terrain of might have been. And when you sleep, your mind traces those trails again, freely. No pressure, no destination, just motion. You are the particle. Now you are the traveler, not on a schedule, not with a goal, but with a softness that lets you consider every direction at once. If you dream tonight of walking through shifting landscapes, of hallways that bend and multiply, of doors that open into endless other doors, know that this is not confusion, it is coherence. You are allowing your mind to do what particles do, to hold multitudes without collapsing. Eventually you do collapse, not in spirit, but in outcome. A dream resolves. A thought becomes clear. Morning arrives, and the world presents itself as a single version of events. But deep beneath that clarity, the multiplicity remains. The field of maybes, the tangle of paths, and it is beautiful. It means you are more than what you've chosen. It means your reality is textured, layered, nuanced. It means your sleep, far from empty, is a rehearsal of paths not taken, and that's where your peace lives tonight, not in control, but in openness. Let yourself follow every possible path. Let your thoughts fork and twist and loop. Let your sense of self become a trail that spreads across 1,000 possibilities. You are not lost. You are traveling the way particles do, with curiosity, with lightness, with permission to explore. And when your mind finally picks a thread to follow a single dream, a single shape, it does so not because the other paths didn't matter, but because they all came together to point this way. Just like in the quantum world, where the sum of all paths gives rise to the one you see. Even the paths that cancel each other out are part of the result. Even the ones that never complete are part of the shape, and you, lying here now, are shaped by every version of you that might have been. They rest with you, they breathe with you, they whisper in your thoughts as you drift deeper. So when your dreams grow strange, when time folds or places shift or people change, form, don't be alarmed. You are simply walking multiple paths at once, as quantum travelers do. You are part of the universe's unfolding grammar, where meaning emerges not from a single word, but from all the possible sentences whispered at once. And when you wake, you won't remember all of them, but they will have passed through you, gently, quietly, resonating beneath your skin, because the particle that chooses every path at once does not choose in confusion. It chooses with patience. It allows every version of the journey to shape what comes next, just as you are doing now. Rest. Traveler, the map is wide, the ground is soft, and every path you dream has always been part of you. There's a cold that's colder than winter, colder than the breath of glaciers, than the night between stars. A kind of stillness so complete, so perfect, that all motion stops. No trembling, no flickering, no sound, hiding in the folds of heat. This, physicists call absolute zero, the lowest possible temperature in the universe. But here's the secret: it cannot be reached. And tonight, as you lie wrapped in warmth, body slowly releasing its tension, that unreachable stillness surrounds you, not as a threat, but as a kindness, as a boundary the universe refuses to cross. A quiet law of protection. Absolute zero is defined as the point where all thermal motion of particles comes to a halt, where atoms would stop vibrating, where energy would vanish from matter. It is set at 0 Kelvin or minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. But according to quantum mechanics, you can approach this point closer and closer, but never quite arrive, like chasing a horizon that slips away each time you near it. And that's not a flaw in the system. It's a mercy, because life, at its heart, is movement. Even sleep is motion, breath flowing, neurons firing in waves of memory, your body curling and unfolding in the slow tide of dreams. Even in rest, your cells are working, your heart is beating, your molecules are dancing in soft, invisible patterns. To reach absolute zero would be to erase all of that, and the universe will not let that happen. In quantum mechanics, there's something called the 0-point energy, the lowest possible energy a system can have. Even when a particle reaches its ground state, it still contains a sliver of energy, a whisper of motion. This is not optional. It is written into the laws of physics, because even nothing must contain something. Even silence must have shape, and even your rest tonight, deep as it is not a vacuum. It is not an erasure. It is a gentle hum beneath stillness. You are not failing to be still. You are being protected from stillness that would become emptiness. There are experiments that have cooled atoms to billionths of a degree above absolute zero. At those temperatures, strange things happen. Particles behave like waves. Multiple atoms overlap into a single quantum state, forming something called a Bose-Einstein condensator, kind of ultra-cold, ultra-quiet matter where individuality dissolves, and still, even there, absolute zero remains just out of reach. It's not that we haven't tried hard enough. It's that the fabric of reality gently resists the final freeze. And maybe that tells us something beyond physics. Maybe it says that stillness should always hold a little motion, that rest should always hold a little life, that even in your most exhausted moments, your most silent nights, something in you should remain awake, not to act, not to think, but to be. That is the Z inside you, and it is enough. As your body lies still, temperature drops, skin cools, breath slows, blood moves like a soft current beneath the surface. But deep inside, your cells stay warm. Your mitochondria continue their work. Tiny factories, powered by sugars and oxygen, humming with molecular motion. Even in sleep, even in the deepest slumber, you remain alive with heat. And thank goodness, because heat is not just warmth. It is evidence of motion, of interaction, of participation in a universe that never stops entirely. Even the coldest regions of space, the shadows between stars, the black voids between galaxies, hover at a few degrees above absolute zero, cold beyond comprehension, yet still not nothing. Still not stopped. Even out there, microwave radiation from the early universe glows faintly. A remnant of the Big Bang, a final warmth that says, I was here, and so are you. Here, now, resting in a bed that cradles you like the universe cradles its last warmth. You do not need to be productive. You do not need to move. But even in your stillness, a spark remains, and that spark is sacred. It means you are part of something ongoing. It means you are never truly alone in the cold. You are connected through fields and forces, through molecules and memory, to everything that still hums with motion. You are kept just above the edge of total silence, because the universe knows that some part of you must remain. So let your stillness be soft, not absolute. Let your quiet contain a flicker. Let your rest be a circle, not a wall. Even now, the atoms in your bones cannot stop. They resist, they push, they bounce gently against one another, holding space, holding form. That is the kindness, that is the design. Even when you want to disappear, you are held in motion. You are curved gently back toward being, and as your dreams deepen, let this truth become a comfort. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to drift, to sink, to surrender, but you are not allowed to vanish. The laws of nature hold you here, not with force, but with a whisper. Not yet, they say, not all the way. Stay warm. And so you do. You remain just above the freeze, just above the hush that erases, and in that thin layer between everything and nothing you rest, not in failure, but in balance, not in emptiness, but in grace. Somewhere else, something stirs, not next door, not down the hall, not even in the same galaxy, but far, far away. So far that light would take years to get their particle shifts, and somehow, impossibly, another particle responds. They are entangled, and so, perhaps, are you. Tonight, as you slip into deeper rest, there is a hush within you that mirrors the hush of something far beyond. Your thoughts drift, and you do not know where they go. Your breath slows, and time bends inward. You feel alone, but not in the way of absence, in the way of deep connection without interruption. Like the way two particles can be linked across space, their fates forever tied, even in separation. Entanglement is one of the most hauntingly beautiful ideas in physics. It begins with a shared origin, two particles born together from the same interaction. Their properties become intertwined. Spin, position, polarization, all of it linked. Measure one, and the other's state becomes known instantly, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein once called this spooky action at a distance. It seemed to break the rules. How could one particle know what happened to another so far away? But experiments confirmed it again and again. The link is real. It's not information that travels. It's correlation. An invisible thread woven from the fabric of quantum reality. And tonight, your dreams hum along such threads. You are not a closed system. You are not a single note. You are a harmony, entangled with those you've loved, those you've touched, those who've walked with you through even one moment of your life. The connections linger, quiet but unbroken. Think now of someone far away, not in space, necessarily, but in time. Someone you've lost, or someone you've drifted from, or someone who lives across an ocean of days. You are not with them, but when your mind moves toward them softly, silently something in you warms. That's the kind of entanglement that matters tonight. You carry it inside you, just as particles carry theirs. And while your body rests, your thoughts may reach toward those connections. Not in words, not even in images, but in resonance. The way a bell rings faintly in sympathy when another is struck across the room. This, too, is part of your sleep. Entanglement is not communication. It's coordination. It doesn't carry messages. It carries symmetry. So when your dreams feel balanced, as if parts of your life are aligning without your conscious effort, perhaps this is why. Perhaps pieces of your being are whispering to one another across space, across memory. Perhaps sleep is when your entangled self becomes whole again in labs around the world. Scientists isolate particles and entangle them with care. They track the instant changes. They test the theory. But you don't need an instrument to feel it. You are made of entangled matter. Your atoms carry history. Your molecules bear the memory of stars. You are the product of billions of interactions. Glances, words exchanged under moonlight, and each one has left a thread. Tonight, you lie at the center of this web, and nothing tugs. It just holds like spider silk between branches, stronger than it seems, invisible in the dark, but real. You do not need to reach out tonight. You only need to let the connections hold you in your brain. Networks of neurons fire in patterns shaped by past experience. When you remember someone, when you dream of a place you've never been, your mind lights up in echoes. These two are entanglements between memory and sensation, between feeling and fact. So many things are linked in you, and not all of them need to be explained. Some are simply meant to be felt. And if you dream tonight of two people moving in perfect sync, or of distant voices calling at just the right time, or of hands reaching out without touching, know that it's not fantasy. It is the way your mind weaves entangled truths into story, because story is how we understand symmetry, and dreams are how we remember without remembering. Even your breath tonight may feel paired with something unseen. Another rhythm, somewhere else, echoing yours. This is not magic. It is not supernatural. It is simply the result of a universe that prefers relationships over isolation. You are not alone, even when no one else is in the room, even when your phone is off, even when you haven't spoken all day. You are entangled with every version of yourself you've ever been, the child you once were, the person you hoped to become, the version of you that might have moved to another city. They are not gone. They are folded gently into your current self, linked, not by memory, but by structure, and perhaps in dreams you touch them again. Entanglement does not mean closeness in space. It means connection in definition. And so, the next time you reach for understanding about who you are, about how you got here, remember, your current shape contains others. You were never a single path. You are a tangle of possibility made coherent. And now, as your body softens further into sleep, that coherence holds you like a net. The day unspools, the tension dissolves, but the links remain, not tight, not tangled, just present, just soft. You do not have to know the names of the particles that mirror you. You do not need to chart the math of connection. You only need to rest in the truth that your being is shared, that when you close your eyes, you carry not only your own dreams, but the soft echoes of countless others. The moments that shaped you, the voices that steadied you, the kindnesses that bent the trajectory of your life by even a degree, they still resonate. And in this moment of stillness, when nothing else is required, their presence is enough. So sleep. Entangled sleep, as if someone else hears the same lullaby. Sleep, knowing that every quiet breath is part of a system much larger than you and yet completely yours. You are the observer and the observed. You are the echo and the source. You are alone in your bed and held by the entire web of being tonight. Nothing breaks. Everything continues. Connected, gentle, entangled. Entangled, you are made of constants, of rhythms and repetitions. The steady pulse beneath your wrist, the quiet rise and fall of breath, the familiar pattern of the ceiling above your bed. Even your thoughts, in their wandering way, follow soft trails carved by years of repetition, places they return to, images they favor, fears they've learned to step gently around. And so, it can feel comforting to believe that some things, some real, outer things, never change. But what if even the constants won't sit still? What if the things you've always thought of as anchors, numbers, values, unchanging truths of nature, are not entirely fixed? What if the universe, at its most fundamental level, is a little more flexible, not chaotic, not wild, but willing to shift, willing to adapt, willing, like you, to quietly evolve? Tonight, let's sleep inside that strange comfort. Take the fine structure constant, for example, a tiny number around 1/137th that governs how light and matter interact. It has no units, no dimensions, just a ratio, soft and silent. It appears across quantum electrodynamics like a refrain. Scientists have long assumed it's the same everywhere, everyone, and yet, recent observations hint that it may have changed ever so slightly over billions of years. A faint drift, a cosmic wobble. The constant isn't constant, and you don't have to be either. Your identity, your habits, your preferences, they may feel like fixtures, but deep down, you know they're not. You are more like the fine structure constant than you are like stone. You are a person-shaped rhythm, soft, adaptable, quietly shifting over time. You sleep not because your body shuts down, but because your inner patterns need space to rearrange. And this rearrangement is not failure, it is life. Even the speed of light, a sacred value in physics, long believed to be unchanging, has been questioned, not disproven, but held up to the candlelight of possibility. Could it, in the earliest moments of the universe, have been faster? Could space-time itself have flowed differently, wider, freer? We don't know, but we're allowed to ask, and so are you. When something in you changes, when your desires shift, when your perspective bends, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're real. Constants are useful, but they are not holy. You, like the universe, are still writing your laws. Tonight, as you lie still in your bed, let the idea of unchanging truth soften. Let it melt, just a little, like ice under a warm palm. You don't need to know exactly who you are. You only need to be open to the fact that who you are can shift quietly, gently, without fear. No tectonic upheaval, just a nudge, the kind of nudge the universe gives itself. Cosmic microwave background. Radiation, those faint whispers of the Big Bang tells a story of expansion, of cooling, of constants settling into place. But before they did, there may have been a kind of murmur, a gentle negotiation. What will gravity be? How shall light behave? Shall we hold together or stretch apart? And maybe those questions are still being asked. Maybe every morning you wake up slightly different, because the universe is still thinking, still becoming, still folding and unfolding, just like your thoughts in the early moments of sleep. Nothing is locked in, not truly. The mathematical constants that shape matter, Planck's constant, the gravitational constant, Boltzmann's constant, are printed on lab walls and physics textbooks. They give us precision, predictability, but they also arise from measurements, from how we interact with the world, from context, and context, as you know, can always shift. Even your memories are not fixed. Each time you recall them, they pass through the present moment and pick up traces of it. A little joy here, a little sorrow there. The memory you visit is never exactly the same one you left behind. It has been touched, so have the constants. Maybe that's why the universe feels alive, not just because it moves, but because it allows room for soft revision. And you are part of that story. You've lived through seasons. Some came loud, some slipped in like shadows. You've adjusted to rooms, to weather, to grief, to joy, to change. Each time, a tiny calibration, nothing dramatic, but enough you don't have to hold one identity, one belief, one plan. You are not a rule book. You are a constant in motion, and sleep is the kindest expression of that. When you dream, you reorganize. You try on different truths. You simulate new possibilities. You give yourself permission to slip out of precision, to dissolve into openness, to drift like the constants did before they were named. So do that now. Let go of the need to stay fixed. Let your breath become the only number that matters. Slow, gentle, uncounted. You don't have to be who you were this morning. You don't have to be who you planned for tomorrow. You are allowed to hover between. You are allowed to be like the fine structure, constant, subtle, elegant, evolving. The universe is still refining its story. So are you. And tonight, that revision begins not with action, not with questions, but with rest. With stillness that isn't stiffness. With silence that isn't blank. With a kind of sleep that doesn't ask you to finish anything, only to feel everything shift, just a little, toward peace. And now, the universe can exhale with you. You've wandered through waves and probabilities, through uncertainty and light, through ideas so soft they only exist when held gently in the mind. Nothing in quantum physics is ever truly still, but somehow, here you are, resting anyway, floating. Let the possibilities close around you like a quiet blanket. Let the noise of the day collapse into silence. Let yourself remain entangled, curious, whole. And as the final thought folds itself up and fades, know that you are already where you need to be, tucked into the smallest truth, held gently by the universe that never stops dreaming. Sleep well.